So the album has been described as folk jazz with influences from Nina Simone, Billie Holiday, Nick Drake. There's even a track called Drake. And I don't think it's the Canadian
The
rapper.
Lover Boy. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name is Andy, and the fellow over there is John. And we get together and share music with one another. And today, John, you're on the mound. I'm up to bat. What are you giving me?
Okay, so I know you're familiar with Portishead and the vocalist, Beth Gibbons. She did a semi-solo album with Rustin Man. Are you familiar with that?
No, I've never heard any of her solo stuff. So
She's only really done 2 albums, and the other one's with a philharmonic orchestra doing some, I think, is it Polish? Anyway, we'll get into that some other time. So this is a track off her solo-ish album with Rustin Man. This is called Mysteries, first track off the album, and I managed to track down a live version. I thought it'd been quite nice to see her and the rest of the guys sort of putting that out live, as it were.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm kind of excited to see her in what I assume is going to be a different sonic environment than what I'm used to in Portishead. I don't know, right? Yeah, I don't. So let me go off, give this a listen, and let you know what I think on the other side.
When the wind turns on the shore, lies another day. I cannot ask for more. And when the time bell blows my heart and I have scored a better day, well, nobody made this world of mine. And the moments that I enjoy, a place of love and mystery, I'll be there anytime. Mystery.
Her voice is always lovely, and I really love it starts with that circular guitar that's so easy to follow, and it kind of just takes you and you just go along with it. It's like in the gentle cycle in the dryer. You're just slowly tossing and turning in it, and then you have these sustained organ notes that just add all this depth behind her voice and that guitar that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, this sounds really, really pretty. I'd like to see how it develops from here, or if it's just going to kind of stay the path. But yeah, very interesting sound, intriguing to me, where it could go from here. And if it doesn't go anywhere, that's fine, because it's going to lull me into this relaxed state, which, is quite nice, almost cathartic.
Memories of love where war is no more. I'll be there anytime.
had my eyes closed when the first sound of that stretch sound of that like accordion was coming through, and for a moment before they shifted notes on the instrument, or maybe after the just a couple of the initial notes on it, it almost had this like stringed instrument quality to it, where I thought for a second perhaps I was going to open my eyes to see like a viola or a violin being played. But I love it. It adds to the soothing nature, similar to what the organ was doing. There's just all this stretched out, like sustained sound, and it really adds depth to the song.
When the time bell blows my heart and I must go to bed a day, will nobody make this war of mine? And the moments that I enjoy, a place of love and mystery, I'll be there anytime. Mysteries of love where war is no more. I'll be there anytime.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful, and it was over so quickly. I remember stopping it like shortly after, like around the 1:30 mark, somewhere in there, and thinking, okay, let's see where this goes, right? And goddamn, that the rest of the song, the next 3 minutes happened so quickly, but so beautifully. Um, Her voice almost had like, if it reminded me of any instrument, it would be like a lighter woodwind. Like there's some sort of like a piccolo or something happening, or a flute. There's this wavery, high, airy nature to her voice that almost sounds like a reed instrument, and it's fucking gorgeous. And during that last bit, she had her back to the audience, but if I'm not mistaken, that was her gorgeous God given talent coming through with that. Like, I'm not, forgive me, apologies out there. But like when she was doing that, it was like, oh my God, just turn around so I can see this. It was so beautiful. But another part of me is like, hey man, just close your eyes and let this wash over you. And yeah, it was really, really pretty. This is, for me, this is a mood piece. Like, I couldn't listen to this on regular. But man, I find myself in the right headspace or heart space, and I feel like this song would tug. Sometimes you don't want that, and other times you fucking need that. And I think in those moments, I would rely on a song like this. It's got hope, but it's also got like some sorrow in it as well. And I guess that makes sense. And we've seen it a lot before in music where like perhaps hope is the shield you hold up against the sword of sorrow. And so they inherently can quite organically go hand in hand. This is great. This is a really, really pretty song. Not everyday listening, but a really, really pretty song. All right, let's get back to John.
So you're back.
I am.
What did you think?
This was an interesting experience and song, and I'm glad I got to watch it be performed live as well. So good on you for finding a live version of this. I don't know if it would have resonated with me as much if it had just been a studio version of this song. I'm sure I still would have found it quite lovely, but I mean, it's just a different animal when you get to watch it unfold before your eyes, while also, you know, before your ears as well. So like we talked about before I went off and gave this a listen, like I am familiar with her work, but only in Portishead. I've never really given anything else she's ever done a listen. And she and the rest of the musicians on stage here really didn't disappoint. There is this like melancholic air to the song, being like open and sustained, and her vocals being airy and slightly wavering at times. To me, this only added to like the beauty of it all. There's this circular movement on the acoustic guitar, almost like this being in the gentle cycle in the dryer. It lulls the listener into this relaxed state before her like vocals actually join the mix, and they only continue to add this layer of I don't know, like maybe it's just me, but like this melancholic comfort to it. Like I don't know if I'm comforted by the sad, but I tend to gravitate toward it anyway and find beauty in it. And this song had it in spades. Her voice has this reedy, almost flute-like quality. Like her voice almost sounds like a woodwind instrument at times and on certain notes. And I thought that was really interesting. And it sort of toes the balance between that sorrow that I was talking about, but also hope. But those two things go hand in hand. One is usually the defense mechanism against the other. So it kind of makes sense that this dynamic or this dichotomy is played with in this song. And my eyes were closed for a lot of this tune, and I think for obvious reasons. Like it like the lulling effect of it and sort of the beauty of it all, and which is, you know, I started off by saying it was so great to be able to watch it played live, but there's also this like primordial reaction to just want to close your eyes and let the sound wash over you as well. But I'm glad that when I opened them from time to time, I was able to see what was unfolding on stage and sort of the players in this performance. So I guess that kind of speaks to the warmth and the comfort of the sound as well, at least to me. Maybe that's more of an indication of me than it is like emblematic of the song itself. It's probably more on the listener than the tune at this point, but I found comfort in her delivery and the music. And as they were closed, I was really captured by the sustained notes on the organ. And then I thought for just a fleeting moment, there might be the introduction of some stringed instrument, but I quickly realized that was an accordion when I heard notation changing. Like the first sustained almost sounds like the long draw of a string with a little bit of like vibrato to the draw, but then you realize, oh, no, that's just the natural sound of an accordion that you're hearing. And I thought that was really interesting, cool. You don't often hear a song with accordion used, and usually when you do, it's like raucous, you know, and you know, and this had more of a I don't know, it was like I don't want to offend anyone who loves the accordion, but this had almost like a more mature sound for an accordion, which I really enjoyed. And the use of those sustained notes of the organ, the accordion, and then later in the song, the melodica, gave this song this richness and this depth that almost stretched the canvas on which the aforementioned circular guitar motif and her vocals would lie on top of. And then with her back turned, she starts really laying into this beautifully haunting high note delivery, which somehow has simultaneously vulnerable and powerful sound to it. Again, there is sort of this like cause and effect thing, like with sorrow and hope. You have this vulnerability that you can only overcome by exhibiting power or having power. So they're playing with this opposites dynamic sort of thing that's going on here, and I really, really enjoyed that. Her voice is so gorgeous. It almost gave me a chill listening to that last bit of her delivery. Part of me really wish she would turn around so I could see it, but also the artistic symbolism almost that goes with her back, and this idea of like vulnerability and muscling through that. I don't know, I guess that kind of added to it in hindsight, looking back and thinking about that, her posture and the way she was positioned. I know that's not something you should be thinking about when you're listening to a song. You should just be listening to the song, but you are inherently drawn into that. And when it complements the music or what's being played, it kind of just, they go hand in hand. So this to me is clearly a mood piece. And we just talked about this a little bit ago, but it's something I wouldn't consider to be everyday listening. But man, there's a time and a place for this kind of song. And like, I will listen to this again when I need it. You don't always want to hear something like this. Not that it's bad to the ear, but it's like, for me, it's so moody, and like it taps into your emotions, that I think I would have to be like prepared, or so vulnerable that I need this for catharsis. Like I just need to feel like I'm not alone in that feeling, and then listen to this and feel the comfort of like camaraderie in my emotions with this thing completely divorced of me, yet echoes what I'm feeling or going through in that moment. I think that is when this song would probably hit the hardest, because it already like landed on me really well. But I think if I was in a certain mood, man, this thing would really get me through some stuff. It was a really beautiful song. Her voice, a little bit different in some ways. I guess in Portishead, there's always this kind of like menacing undertone to some of the stuff that's going on there. And this was more straight of the heart. For me, and I don't know, I guess in that way it was a little bit different, but her voice was just as haunting and beautiful regardless of that. So yeah, man, this was interesting. Again, I'm not jonesing to hear this every single day, but there's a time and a place for this song, there's no question.
Yeah. Okay, I'll sort of get into it, then I'll tell you what I think. So this album, out of season. So Beth Gibbons, vocalist and lyricist, obviously for Portishead, and Rustin Man, who is another name for Paul Webb, who's the former bassist with Talk Talk.
Oh,
so before she joined Jeff Barrow, I think she met him on a enterprise allowance scheme in Bristol. But so before Portishead, she had auditioned as a singer slot in the band Orang, which was a group formed by Webb after he left Talk Talk in the sort of late 80s, early 90s. But then Portishead's sudden success took over, and she obviously went off with that. So they do obviously get together for this in October 2002. This album was released, and it reached number 28 in the UK albums chart. So the album has been described as folk jazz with influences from Nina Simone, Billie Holiday, Nick Drake. There's even a track called Drake. And I don't think it's the Canadian
the Lover Boy.
It also does feature contributions from Portishead bandmate Adrian Utley and Webb's former bandmate Lee Harris, who was a drummer who Talk until 91. So this is the first track, it's the opening track off the album, and it also appears in the original soundtrack of the French movie Les Poupes Russes, which is the Russian dolls, and in Wim Wenders' Palermo Shooting from 2008, which coincidentally was just a snippet of information, but it featured Lou Reed as himself in his last film appearance. liner notes from this album I read. It says vocals and vocoder Beth. This is the studio version, by the way, not the live one you saw. But I haven't got the information on that. I can guess. So vocals and vocoder Beth Gibbons, guitar Rain, Ebo and sonic effects Adrian Utley, accordion, wind and sonic effects Paul Webb, and backing vocals Lorraine McIntosh, Rachel Brown, and Joy Rose. So in the studio version, there is these three female voices that do these vocalizations, which are similar to what you heard at the end of this piece, and they're kind of throughout the song, underlining her when she at certain parts when she sings. And I think the reason I chose this live one was her bit at the end is just stunning.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so the album got a Metacritic score of 83. It got some mixed reviews, but mostly very positive. I mean, I think it's an absolutely brilliant album. It's a must for anyone who's a fan of Portishead. I think if you were just stone cold to her and her voice, perhaps, it wouldn't have that same impact. All Music have a nice quote. They put in this review. It's very interesting. They said, that voice of hers was perfectly suited for the backing provided by her Portishead bandmates. But more than a few wondered if it would sound even more perfect if it was supported by the type of folk, jazz and R&B recordings that it could have been plucked from in the first place. That what if is answered with this album. Brass, strings, reeds, organs, acoustic guitar, double bass, and lightly brushed drums are all part of the mix, which never threatens to take the spotlight away from Gibbons. The icing on the cake is in the little details, like the way the background vocals discreetly drift in and out, alternating between serene and spooky, quietly devastating. And while they toured this album in North America, Variety magazine, of all things, famously described her performance with Rustin as Billie Holiday fronting Susie and the Banshees. So there you go. All right, I'll get into the lyrics. God knows how I adore life. When the wind turns on the shores, lies another day. I cannot ask for more. When the time bell blows my heart, and I have scored a better day, well, no one made this war of mine. And the moments that I enjoy, a place of love and mystery, I'll be there any time. And mysteries of love, where war is no more, I'll be there any time. When the time bell blows my heart, and I have scored a better day, well, no one made this war of mine. And the moments that I enjoy, a place of love and mystery, I'll be there any time. Mysteries of love, where war is no more, I'll be there anytime. This is an unusual, positive and affirming track from lyric-wise from her, but it still has that sort of touch of, as you say, melancholy about it as well. It's both at the same time. It's reassuring and slightly, I put this on my list to play for you anyway. But it sort of took on a personal meaning for me as well. As you know, we've talked about this. The second of my two dogs died in November, and I won't go into the details. I mean, he was old and we knew it, but it was a bit traumatic the evening he died. And afterwards, we were driving back from the vets, and I did want to drive in silence because that was even worse. So I put some music on, and it was this, and the lyrics and everything, they're not, but it just made me think of his life and his life with us. And I found it very comforting and heartbreaking at the same time. And I struggled to listen to this song without tearing up every time. It just gets to me. And you were saying, but that's in a very personal perspective, so I can see exactly what you're saying about the mood pieces and when to listen to this, because I have to be a bit judicious as well. So it's really but if I just want to have a quiet moment, so we'll listen to this. And the rest of the album is superb as well, and there's more upbeat songs, and they have that jazzy feel and that Billie Holiday feel to them, and the instrumentation is just brilliant as well. And it has all those things they describe, that sort of jazzy, folky feel to it. There isn't any of that unique, you quite rightly said, menacing and strange new sounds that you get from Portishead, which I adore absolutely. And Dummy is one of my favorite ever, debut albums. So this is a lovely, as All Music said, it's a lovely different take on how to use her voice. And I'm slightly disappointed that she hasn't done anything else really apart from this other classical Polish piece. I mean, she's obviously got lots to give, but it's up to her whether she wants to give or not, I guess. And I'm sure she's pretty comfortable in where she is right now. I mean, there were bloody ages ago they brought out the third Portishead album. I doubt there'll be any more, but which is a huge shame as well. But yeah, so this is an album which I really cherish because I just think it's wonderful.
It was an excellent opportunity to I mean, I say listen to something from through a new lens, but it's like, but like it is that though. Like I'm familiar with her voice, but again, familiar with her voice as it's packaged in the product that is Portishead. Yeah. This is like what I said when I came back, what you read from that quote about like, will it translate? Yes, it will, or whatever. Sort of, that's me in a nutshell, summing it up. And to again say that it's interesting to listen to this in a different light, or with a different twist on it, but it's still really, really beautiful. I mean, she's clearly can transcend whatever pocket she's trying to put her voice, and it can be placed in different sounds, and it translates really, really well. And anytime you bring up Billie Holiday to a kid from Baltimore, you're going to get a smile from him, because that's that's Baltimore's favorite daughter right there. So this is it's really cool to hear this song and to hear it in this light again. As I mentioned, I'm better for it. And this is, again, I'm not going to go out and listen to this, but I don't want to find myself in the scenario that you found yourself in when you gave this a recent listen. But when I do, and when I have to, this song, along with some other real sad boy shit that I have, will probably find its way in there, despite it having a little bit of hope in there. I guess that's what you need. You need it in those moments. You can feel sad, but also feel the hope, and kind of like that's the light at the end of the tunnel, right? So yeah, this is really, really good, man.
Cool. All right, I'll wrap things up. Thanks so much for listening to this, Andy.
Thank you.
Folks out there, tell us what you think. I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with Portishead, I'd imagine, and her voice. You'll be comforted to know that in certain tracks on this album, she does her sort of what I call Katharine Hepburn voice, which has that weirdy accent. As soon as you hear it, what I'm talking about. I'm not even going to try. So yeah, tell us what you think about this. And obviously, I mean, you got a mixture of members from Portishead, Talk. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Super group.
Drop comments. We'd love to hear from you. Hit the like button, all that good stuff. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and help us build this channel, and we'll funnel all sorts of weird and wonderful crap your way through your ear holes. That being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.